sooner or later, and it says that the Hangout on there is live. So I think this is volume 18 of F Sharp Live Programming. The last video I refactored. Well, first I made a test pass, and then I refactored those tests so that they're a little bit more legible. And that test specifically was this within the write ended file. This fee is generated after write. Also refactored. That was the test that I recently added, right? Also refactored another test, which was write ended. All right, so I did some refactoring, and this is a little bit clearer. It's still not 10 lines of code, but it's better than what I had before. Now what? Well, there's some other things that can probably be mocked out. Specifically, all this right here can be mocked out, okay? So what does that mean? Well, this is, we want to get a, let me see. We want to get a pending ride. That's what we want, okay? And so theoretically, we should be able to, if I were to go to my mock, I think I already have mock pending ride somewhere down here. Mocking route ride, mock, maybe I don't. So what I could do is, I could have in here, let pending ride, okay? And I mean, that could just be a value. And I have something like this right here. And there's a get ride that's not being recognized. There's a ride ended that's not being recognized. Oh, that's way up here. That shouldn't matter. This get ride does matter. That's in core. What I want to do is I just want to return this pending. But that's going to be an option type, right? So I have some like pending, and I'm forced to provide an option. Okay. Let's get ride view model. Get ride is way up there. So if I attempt to build this, and all this is still going to compile. If I attempt to build this mock, well, the entire solution, but with the changes to the mock, then I'll get some errors in here. And it says right ended is not defined, but you know what? Well, that is defined. What is the union case or fields of type payment transaction is not accessible from this location? Okay, so let's close this entire solution and reopen it. And maybe some of those squigglies will go away. In the meantime, I could try to charge my phone. Okay. All right. So the solution is getting reloaded. and nothing else has changed. So this ride ended right here still isn't being recognized. This view models right here. And maybe that, let me see, add reference, ride.view models, okay. All that stuff is there. If I attempt to build, it's the same thing. So when I go to ride ended, I should have a ride. Oh, that should be okay because it's ride.view models. And down here, this is view models dot ride ended. But it doesn't know what, okay, it has end of ride in here. Does it have request fee? Request fee is right there. Okay. So why is this not working? If I say ride dot view models dot so ride ended is not showing up. And why isn't it showing up? I can right click, rebuild right here. Okay, now if I go back to my mock and hit this test API and hit build, that ride ended should get resolved. If it doesn't get resolved, then I'm not sure what else I need to do. It says the value constructor namespace or type is not defined. Now all this was working earlier, right? I still think that's a Visual Studio error. This get ride is where is this at? Get ride is a view model. And again, I'll look at my test API and it should have a reference to ride.view models, right? So I'll do ride. All that stuff should be straight. Now, I mean, if anything, I'll add a ride.domain, but that's not going to do anything, at least not for what I need. The only other thing I could do is, yeah, all this should build. So the only other thing I could do is I could clean this entire solution. Where am I at? Clean that. And I can delete the bin over here. And I can attempt to just rebuild the entire solution. Because it's not clear to me. If I hit home, it's not clear to me why this isn't being recognized. This is ride ended right here. It doesn't have any colors on here. And it's still not working. 3 failed. Get ride is not defined. Okay. So in here, I can say view models dot. Now it is defined. Okay. Do that. Do that. And over here, just say none. Okay. This right here, pending ride, should be some pending. But that's not even necessary because that's this right here. So that can be this. And okay, so the pending ride is now done. This view model.generate fee, and that should have always been working. I'm not sure why this is red squiggly all of a sudden. And Visual Studio's hanging, or freezing, should I say. And that error appears to go away. Okay, so now we can go back to our original test, and we can now, for example, up here, we could say all this right here should be able to say mock pending ride. Okay. And that can pipe into, a function. Okay. Something like this. And the same thing is over here. We can go all the way up here, say mock pending ride, and that is going to something like that. Okay. And this is a lot better than what I originally had. So I had like hella lines. This is now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like 10 lines of code right here. And this is what I wanted. Okay. I can get rid of these unnecessary imports. And this should communicate what's necessary. And I think it does. So that's what I was looking for. Okay. Check to see if the test still pass. And the test still pass. So now I can check in this, and say refactored what? Refactored ride ended test file. Okay. I like this. This is what I was looking for. Of course, I checked that in without having this thing set up. Now what? Well, so that looks straight. Now, what else do I want to do? So you generate a fee after a ride. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what else? Well, something that I have an issue with is if I think about Uber or Lyft, I feel like a message gets delivered to us, or a notification gets sent to us saying that the ride has completed. I feel like there shouldn't be a method called complete ride. I feel like we should receive a ride is completed. We should receive a notification. So this to me, as I said in my last video, just looks wrong. I mean, it works, but I just don't think this is, I think it could be designed better. So, okay. So what does that mean? Well, that means that it would be more ideal to have a way to notify this en route view model that the ride has completed. Okay, so how can that be done? Well, I know 2 videos ago I was juggling with this let on ride completed, and I think that may take a en route ride. Okay. Of course, we could just call it ride. This type would be en route. Something like that. Okay. And what about it? Well, we can say that we could call the tracker.terminate, which I also want to refactor this tracker too. Okay. All right. So now what? It says let and do. Yeah. Okay. So you need to move this up here, and we already have that over here. Maybe I don't need this at all, but in a way I think I do. Okay. Even though we're not doing anything with it. Well, if we're not doing anything with it, then maybe I don't. So I have this on ride completed, right? And that's private. What I want to do is I feel like this order can be better. So now you have a ride property, and then you have an ended property. That ended should probably be has ended, but maybe not. This completed ride over here, I don't like that. Instead, I want to call it member x dot get end of ride handler or something like that. And that is going to return on ride completed. Okay. Now we can name get end of ride handler to get ride ended handler. Something like that. I'll probably think of a better name. And so this method, or well, yeah, this method is going to return a function to a client. And the thought process is we want the client to execute this function by basically invoking its function. What is so different? What's different between this view model exposing its handler? Well, what's different is that the execution of this on write completed could be delayed, and it doesn't have to be like this complete ride method right here where it's executed immediately. So my application logic can basically have an operation where it gets all the handlers for all the different notifications that it's interested in. And when a notification needs to be executed, it retrieves the handlers for that notification, cycles through them, and executes each of the handlers. That's the difference. So I could do something like this. Now, if I do something like this, then what's going to happen is I have this. This is now going. Let me figure this out. What's going to happen is in my setup, I'm going to have a let ride. I could just say handler. Let handler. Oh, I need to make sense to me. Ride. Let ride ended handler equal what? Equal this. In this case, it's going to be the in-route view model, which is over here. Bring that back up. Over here, I say in-route view model or whatever. Right ended handler equals in-route view model dot get, and then I name this right ended handler. Okay, shoot, like that. Of course, it's not synced up yet. So let me build the solution. And that's going to break some code. But what I want to do is, this is all I really want to do. But in reality, this is going to be a list of functions for a ride ended. And so this can kind of be like, this could be get handler, and then it has a message, right? That message can be a function like this. Oh yeah, because this is class, I'll probably need to wrap this inside of parentheses. And I wonder if I'm allowed to do something like this, where I say ride ended. Then you have like ride, and then you have this on ride completed like that. Of course, this ride ended class is not defined, but it's a ride state, which is up here. And so we can say that we have a ride state dot, and it doesn't know what ride state is. So we open that up, and then we say ride state dot, and then we can say ride ended. Okay. And then it can return that handler for the ride ended. And then we have a wildcard, and that wildcard is going to, in this case, it's not going to return anything. But we could say for here it's going to be some, and over here it's going to be none. Okay. Do something like that. Okay, so that appears to compile. Now, is this still compilable like this? Yeah, I guess I could do that. Control Shift B. That's not going to compile because I just renamed my get handler. So if I go back to my ride ended over here, this should be a get handler, and that should be a ride state and ride ended like that. That's the way it should be. And so this says get handler takes 0 arguments, but was given 1. Okay. So this get handler over here should take a message, which means that we can say message pipes into a function, Control B like that, Shift Control B. And that should have compiled. Now it takes a now it says that this expression was expected to have ride state, but here has a function that is end of ride, that takes the end of ride and returns a ride state. Well, no, get handler. Oh, shoot. I got to wrap this in parentheses. And let's see if that makes the method happy. And that still doesn't. So then maybe I just have to say that, well, it's the same thing. This shouldn't matter. Ride state, that shouldn't matter. get handler takes a unit, this get handler takes a write state and returns a function that takes as input a unit and returns a unit. And that's an option. Okay. That makes sense to me, but why is this still complaining? Says this expression was expected to have type write state, but here has end of write state. Okay. So what this is complaining about is my on write ended. It's right there. And it says that if I just did that, Control Shift B, attempt to build. I'm getting the same error. So this en route view model, initialize get handler. Let's maybe fix this write state. Okay. Build that. And I feel like this should just work. The only other thing that I can probably do, let me see. And this dog is getting on my nerves. Get out. So why is this not building? Is this the result of Visual Studio just not working again? Close that. Open it back up. Okay, Alt or Control Alt L shows Solution Explorer. And this write state is still here. Control Shift B. I now have 3 errors. This is the field constructor or member complete write is not defined. Okay. And Visual Studio hangs as I attempt to compile the solution. And let me go up here. Comment that out. Okay. And I just don't understand what's the issue with this. The expression was expected to have type write state. Okay. But here has end of write. Oh, I know why. Okay. This requires a pending. This requires this right here. I thought. Let's say let message equals, and then you could say pending, and you should say write ended, and that should be the issue. Pending but this is an en route. So it's en routes, something like that. But your en route is a mock ride ended, and that is a structure that, okay, so I'm getting closer. So over here, this ride state for ride ended takes a end of ride. So mock dot ride ended, and that ride ended is a end of ride. Okay. And that ride state takes the end of ride. So that should just work. But it says that this core.end of ride, it says get ride.core. Oh, hold up. The type get ride.core.in route ride that takes as input. Okay, so your this right here, that right there works. So then you have your message, which is over here. That finally compiles. Okay. And so then that is going to result in, that's going to result in none. And if it's none, then we just say assert dot fail. And if it's some, then we have a ride, and that's going to be pushing everything else up here. Okay. So now, something like that, which I don't like that. So we'll just put everything back here again, and then we'll just something like that. Okay. Now what? Well, that needs to pipe into a function like here. Okay. And this ride in handler, well, that's your en route view model. Oh, no. Hold up. Where are we at? This is the handler right here. Okay. That handler we invoke over here. That. And then we can go ahead and say that the right-ended view model fee should equal some mock fee. Okay. Oh, what if I still don't like the way this looks. This is what I just tried to do over here. Yeah, that's ugly. All right, I'm done. This can be handle that. And yeah, so the same thing can be up here, where we have our in-route view model, and then we can do a, maybe it's right here, and do that. Bring this back some, like here. Shoot. Like that. And it says that the in-route view model dot ended should equal something. This is incomplete pattern expression. I'm not sure what that's about, but I'll take everything right here above the verify, and I'll just copy paste that. That's it right there. And then I'll, something like that. And when I attempt to run this, hopefully everything compiles. And everything is green. Okay. So what did I accomplish? Well, hold on. What I accomplished, which doesn't seem like much right now, is earlier I was relying on executing a method called, I don't know, ride completed. And that just seemed off because I want to rely on notifications. I want to tell it that something happened, not request for something to happen. The only thing that I do request is I request a handler that it has for a certain message. Okay. Now this ride state is no longer necessary. And the same thing could be repeated above up here. Right? It doesn't really have to be spelled out. Okay. Only thing I request is a handler for a message. In this case, I request a message, the handler for the message of a ride ending. Okay. Now, once I have that handler, this handler can be leveraged as logic in my application logic, right? I mean, this is used in my test right here, but all this stuff can be refactored and migrated to my application logic, where I get all the handlers for a certain message type. In this case, the message type is a ride state, right? And so ride state dot ride ended is the message type, and I could get all the handlers from all my view models, and any other construct, for lack of a better term, can return me their handlers. And so when I poll or I receive a notification from an external system inside my app logic library saying that, hey, the ride has ended, right? When I receive that message from the outside world, I can basically request all my view models or anything else to give me your handlers for the in the event that a ride has ended. And so all these subscribers, they return me their handlers, their function handlers for when a ride ends. And then I could just iterate through all those handlers and just execute it. And that's essentially the flow that's leading up to all this right here, except I don't have a list. This is just an individual function. Okay, so that, why does it say mock? Yeah, I don't know about that. This can be checked in for now. And is there anything else I could do on here? I don't think so. I'll check this in for now. And I could say refactored ride ended logic for generating fee, something like that. Okay. And in the next video, I should be able to write a test for generating a transaction history. So what that means is maybe it's tax season and I want to get all the rides or all the transactions or all the receipts. I want to get all the receipts for the rides that I've caught in a certain year, like 2018. Well, in the next video, I should start writing the plumbing. Hopefully I could complete it in one video for implementing that feature. Now, right now, I think I call it transaction history. This right here is a payment transaction list. So you have your transaction ID and your ride. Okay, well, we know that this is no longer a pending ride. This is a end of ride. Okay, so in transaction ID, yeah, I guess that's important somehow. And there's something else that's missing from here. There's a fee, and that fee needs to be included in the payment transaction, right? So we should also have this fee in here. Okay, like that. And of course, we have to put this on top so it gets recognized. Okay. And I'll leave it like that for now. This payment transaction has a fee. I'm not going to leave it right now, but it also needs to have a payment type. And that payment type, I thought I already had a payment. It's right now it's a bank card or something. No. So hold up. Right now, just make this unit. And I thought I had a bank card type. There's add bank card. Okay. The add bank card takes an account and it has a validated card type. Okay. And that results in a transaction ID. Okay. But I don't want that to be a transaction ID. I want that to be a transaction. And so transaction doesn't exist, but that's what I want. All right. So I want this transaction ID to be a transaction. Okay. And I mean, we can go to a fee. Come back. We can go to a fee, which is over here, and we can say type transaction. How do you do this? Transaction. I can't spell. Transaction equals. Okay, and so yeah, you're going to have a transaction ID, right? So we do that, and we bring it down here. You say transaction ID. You say transaction ID like that. Okay. But you also want a fee. Okay. That fee is this right here. Yeah. It doesn't recognize it, so we have to bring that down to the bottom, like down. And that's the payment transaction right here. That's what I was just. Was this always here? I think it was always here. So that's the payment transaction. Transaction ID, right? Fee, payment side. No, this is what I just wrote. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Over here, the payment type is right now it's going to be a validated card. Okay. And that is it for right now. So if I go back to operations, you're going to be a payment transaction. Okay. Now, when I attempt to compile this, I should get an error because I just changed the transaction ID to a payment transaction, but no, everything still passes, which means that I probably don't have any tests for paying for or paying the fee, right? So this get ride, this fee is generated after a ride. That was generating a fee, right? This ride view model dot fee, that's what it was generating. But the reason why the solution compiles is because I don't have any tests for paying the fee that was generated. So good stuff. Ride ended. There needs to be another test in here. That's to be continued. That is, if I bring this down here, say this one should be a fee. Okay. So this one, false, should equal true. Okay. That's going to fail for right now. But we can ignore this test for right now. Ignore, and something like that. Okay. So there's a test for paying the fee. And I felt like the test for paying the fee was actually something that I went off tangent on. I thought there was another test that I had in the works. Oh yeah, the transaction history, aka receipts. So that's another test that isn't really in the ride domain, right? So the transaction history, let me see, if I scroll to this, that's not going to be in the ride domain for the next test. The pay fee is this right here, that's in the ride domain. But for viewing the transaction history, that is going to be in the account. I think that belongs better in the account, right? So then you have account.test, and then you have over here, you can have, I don't know, this is pretty big already. So we can have another file over here, and we'll call this I don't know what you want to call it. Call it transactions. Okay. And your transactions, well, this is going to be a account dot transactions dot tests, something like that. Or I don't know, call it whatever you want. And so we're going to definitely need in unit dot framework, and then we'll probably also need test unit over here. And then over here we say let, and we can say what's the test? Something about transactions. Be more specific. Payment transactions. Okay. And I'm just gonna leave it like that for right now. And then you could say false should equal true. So that's going to automatically fail. What else you need to do? Well, you need to say that this is a test. Something like that. Okay. Okay. What else? Well, we're going to ignore it for right now. So we can say something like this and say ignore like that. Okay. Come here. Like that. Okay. What else? Well, I think that's it for right now. If we attempt to build a solution, then we have 21 tests that pass. And now we have pay fee and payment transactions. Those get discovered. So we can check this in and say that we added test skeletons for paying fee and observing in what? Payment transactions, something like that. Okay. So then you could go mid all and push that. And that's the end of what I think is video volume 18. Okay. I think that's the end. I wonder if there's anything old in here that could be. Nope. Okay. NU. And okay. NU. And 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 everything looks okay in you. So that's it. All right, I'm done. I'm Scott Nimrod, practicing F sharp, this whole specification as a library that I'm messing around with, and domain-driven design. So adios, peace. And how do I kill this stop broadcast?